Good morning. You are listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEG-radio.com. You can watch us on live stream through Smart TV. You can review our videos on YouTube. You also can give us a like on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My name is Ramona Hernandez, and you are in our bilingual place. I'm gonna be with you for the next hour. We are the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group, where we speak life into the community. Remember, the comments and opinions of this program are not responsibility for WCEG-radio.com. Buenos días, mi nombre es Ramona, ustedes están en la sintonía de WCEG Network, WCEG Tal Radio, ustedes nos pueden mirar por medio de Smart TV, pueden revisar nuestros videos por YouTube y también nos pueden dar un like en Facebook, Instagram. Nosotros somos el grupo que empodera a la comunidad. Recuerden, los comentarios, las opiniones de este programa no son responsabilidad de WCEG Network. Thank you so much for being here today, Saturday morning, very early. And we have LaToya Martin Rogers. She's candidate for the District 6 and Fulton community for the school board. And I'm gonna let her to introduce herself and let us a little bit about you, Ms. LaToya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Hernandez. Thank you for, well, first of all, happy Saturday. Thank you so much for extending the invitation to share my platform on the WCEG Network. My name is Dr. LaToya Martin Rogers. I'm a teacher, former city council member, and community advocate. I am running for the Fulton County School Board. I appreciate being here this morning and sharing my platform with you. So let me get a few things out of the way. With that being said, I did run for this seat back in 2018. And although I was not successful back in 2018, that has not stopped me from still being heavily involved in my community, standing in the gap with parents, standing in the gap for students, and working with local elected officials to make sure that District 6 schools, and by the way, District 6 covers East Point, College Park, a portion of Union City, and parts of the city of South Fulton, but standing in the gap to ensure that students and parents and all community stakeholders have that voice of advocacy to continue holding the Fulton County School Board, holding them accountable for the promises that have been made to District 6 and our side of the district. So I did not stop doing the work. Our school leaders, students, teachers, and parents deserve an advocate who will ensure that equitable resources are poured into South Fulton County, just like those resources are poured into North Fulton County. So some of the work that I have been doing is, first and foremost, I sounded the alarm when the Fulton County School District reneged on their promises to rebuild 2 South Fulton schools. Back in 2015, 2016, voters voted on something called an e-splash, which is that tax that helps our communities thrive and grow. Well, in that splash, there were 4 schools slated to be rebuilt. 2 schools were in North Fulton and 2 schools were in South Fulton. The 2 North Fulton schools have opened their doors as of 2021, but we were still waiting on the rebuild for the 2 South Fulton schools. One of those schools was in East Point, Georgia, Conley Hills Elementary School, and the other school was located in College Park, Georgia, which is Frank McLaren High School. You've probably been able to read the newspaper in the last few days, and Frank McLaren is going to be redone. And they have found land, Fulton County has found land that they have owned within the city of East Point for decades to rebuild Conley Hills Elementary School. So in sounding this alarm, it allowed me to have a more organic approach where I was able to contact local elected officials, our mayors, our council members, our parents, and people in the surrounding community that were going to be most impacted by this negligence. So we formed a coalition, we formed a movement, and we were able to get those schools.
And Miss LaToya, I'm sorry to interrupt you. So I know since the last election, Yuna was elected, but you got a lot experience and a lot, gave you a lot of opportunity to work in different points. But right now, I have a question. With all this experience you already have, what you can tell the community outside, the parents, what are your priorities? If you are
okay. Well, let me close that out. But since 2018, I've become a court-appointed special advocate in which I've stood in the gap for students in foster care. And I've also content created online platforms for our parents and for our students. It started as a face-to-face parent university where I was meeting parents in the College Park Library and the East Point Library. But since COVID, it has been a complete online platform. So if you do have parents that are listening, the Facebook page for that platform, for those platforms, are the Parent University and District 3 and 6 Schools Matter, Fulton County Schools. And I've worked with just various campaigns and other stakeholders in the community for the betterment of District 6. So you asked me about my priorities. Well, first things first is, I believe so heavily in the 5 cornerstones of my campaign that I am working through those 5 cornerstones as I'm out in the community and getting to know people. The priorities of my campaign, the number 1 priority would be parental engagement. Well, first, the number 1 priority is to change the narrative of District 6. I think that we need to get more stakeholders involved with our social media campaigns and just word of mouth talking up the schools in District 6. Mm-hmm. So a variety of schools in District 6 that are really doing good things, but oftentimes the violence is highlighted. And we need to change the narrative of District 6. So my first priority is to change the narrative of District 6. Secondly, parental engagement. Parental engagement is key in any environment for our students and for our schools to be successful. And through that parental engagement, I know that right now, district representatives have something called community meetings, but I would like to think outside the box and bring those community meetings to actually where our parents are. Sometimes our parents are at a football practice on Saturday, or it's spring now, so they may be at a baseball practice on Saturday. So definitely beginning to galvanize more and more parents in this work, because I cannot be successful without my parents, my Black African-American parents, and my Hispanic parents being a part of this work. Secondly, high-end student achievement. That is another priority of my campaign, or a cornerstone of my campaign. We should ensure that schools are valuing all students, whether it's our special ed student, whether it's our ESOL student, whether it's our talented and gifted student, whether it's the student that is going to decide to go to a 4-year college or go to a technical institution. High-end student achievement that reaches all learners on all levels. Problem solving through partnerships is another priority that I would like to see implemented. Oftentimes, people are not connecting the dots in the community. And what I mean by problem solving through partnerships is there are a wealth of mentor programs for boys, young women, young girls that are right here in our community that many schools have not partnered with. There are also religious organizations that are willing to come in and do this work. Right now, I have to give a shout out to the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, who has stepped in to fill and bridge the gap at Conley Hills Elementary School, because every Wednesday they have a mentoring program on campus right there at school. So I would like to see a lot of our community problems solved through partnerships, and also taking it to the local government level. Some of our students can do internships within these local governmental agencies. So to bridge that gap with problem solving through partnerships.
And that is very important. Yeah, that is very important. And, you know, to have all the community involved, since the levels of the government, parents, and also, you know, other members of the schools or colleges levels of education higher, so the students can realize, you know, lead them what they want to do next. And that is very important and is very appreciative. And I have some other questions, so we're gonna make time to answer this.
Okay.
You know, we all want to know what are your plans and how you're gonna be dealing with some issues more, you know. So my next question is, right now, you know, it's very difficult, like you was saying, to addressing violence. But also, you know, since COVID, everything had been aggravating. How you deal with the stress on the children, but also the teachers, mentors, and other members for the community. What are your plans? I know you probably, because everywhere we have been implementing some ways to calm down or manage all of this stress in our work, in our house. But how you as a teacher and also a candidate, what are the strategies you are thinking to implement?
Well, I am so glad that you asked that question, because since COVID, everyone has sounded the alarm in regards to mental health, but I'd like to share some statistics that I found in regards. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about students and their mental health and how we can combat that. But what you said is key. Teachers are inside these buildings and they are also experiencing issues with their mental health. So I'd like to first start with some of the stats in regards to the research that I have found in regards to students' mental health, and it has come from the National Children's Mental Health website. But 7.7 million children ages 6 to 17 experience a mental health disorder. 1 in 5 children birth to 18 has a diagnosable mental health problem. And 1 in 10 children has a serious mental health problem that impairs them in how they function at home, at school, and out in the community. But the good thing is, these are some of the things that are available inside our Fulton County school system right now and within the state of Georgia. Of those students that receive mental health services, 70 to 80% of those students receive those services at school. We have school counselors, we have school social workers. Now, although all Fulton County schools do not, they have part-time school counselors and school social workers. One of the first things that I'm going to advocate for is school counselors and social workers in every school, because every school's needs are different, right? One school may be dealing with mental health issues, where another school may be dealing with bullying or drugs. So I'm definitely going to be advocating for more school counselors and school social workers. There are also school nurses in each school, and throughout the district, they are working with Project AWARE. And the AWARE stands for Advancing Wellness and Resilience Education. It is a grant program to increase mental health awareness. And there's also youth mental health first aid teachers, parents, teachers, and staff. It teaches us how to help youth ages 12 to 8 if they are having a mental crisis. We also have PBIS, which is an intervention program. It's called Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, and that helps improve our school climate. There's also a program entitled GAP through the Georgia Apex, and it's a mental health initiative sponsored by the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health. It works in schools throughout the state, and it funds and supports the hiring of behavioral staff. And there are so far 130 schools participating in this program. It's no secret that the impact of COVID has impacted everyone's mental health.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sorry. So right now, you can say teachers, staff have received capacitation to dealing with all of these emergencies. And let me also asking to you this. So all these services we have in the school, and you know, or there is a plan, or we already have these services for people who don't speak the language, and not only Spanish, but also other languages.
You're asking about the ESOL services. Yes. Now, ESOL, our population. So did you want me to continue with the mental health for teachers, or we'll circle back to that?
So yeah, so talking on the same question, these services for mental health is offered to in other languages for families or students who speak Spanish, who speak Chinese, who speak, other languages?
Oh, yes, absolutely. What is unique about the Fulton County School District is that 41% of students are Black or African American, 27% are white, 16% are Hispanic, 12% are Asian, 3% are multiracial, 0.1% Pacific Islander, and 0.1% are American Indian. ESOL and translation services are set up throughout the district of Fulton County. In most cases at, I believe it's Park Lane Elementary School, that's a school in District 3, but it sits in the city of East Point. We have parental liaisons. So that is a person that has been hired by the school to connect with those parents. So you may have a student that comes in that does not speak English, whether it be an Island Pacificer or a Chinese student or a student that is here from Africa. You have a parent liaison within the school to connect all of our parents to any resources that are available to them. And I believe now something that has been instituted is a parent resource center that is on the campus of many of our Fulton County schools that is open during school hours. I'm not really sure if they are there after school hours, but I do know that parent liaisons are those direct connections to our communities, because Fulton County Schools is a melting pot. The data on the school system website states that it's no longer Black and white anymore. So we have to be of service in our public school system to all students.
That's true. And that is very glad to hear. Because, on the past, it was very hard to connect and very hard to find the resources or the referrals for all of these issues because the barrier language. And passing to another question, as we were talking about, mental issues, now is not only exclusive for people, children, just one age or one ethnicity. But there are another issues, for example, like we just talking about the barrier language. What are your plans, Ms. Rogers, to deal with this diverse population of students, but not only, as a teacher, you have to deal not only with the students, but also with parents. So what are your plans to deal with parents? with parents and students at the same time in the situation for language. We have materials already implemented on the schools. What kind of resources and what are the strategies you planning to use to communicate with all these parents?
Okay, well, one of the strategies, what I'd like to say is going back to what I said earlier is that Fulton County Schools is no longer a district made up of Black and white students. Our populations of other students are growing very fast, 16% Hispanic, 12% Asian, and multiracial. But what I can say is some of the positive things that I have seen inside of our schools is the highlighting of these various multicultural subgroups. So for instance, as I was doing some research, we celebrate Black History Month in February. We also celebrate Hispanic Latino Heritage Months. We celebrate Irish American Months, Italian American Heritage Months, Jewish American History Months, Native American Heritage Month, South Asians Heritage Months, and also Women's History Months. With that being said, I would like to see it highlighted on a broader scale, because one thing that I've learned as an educator since COVID is we are all connected. You can easily find any information that you are looking for with your digital communications device. The World Wide Web is out there. And this is something that I teach my students that, you know, when I was growing up, I had to go to the library and use something called the Dewey Decimal System. Of course, that's the 1900s. So now, I know I'm here 1900s, I'm like, oh my God, 1900s, or that's old school. But now students have access. So I would like to provide parents access. Just like sometimes when we are watching programs or even watching television, you have closed caption for our people that may be experiencing hearing loss. We also have sign language interpreters. So for individuals that are experiencing language barriers, we have to reach them where they are. Some people fluently speak Spanish and do not speak English. They fluently speak Arabic and do not speak English. So we have to put the information out there. Even when you are on social media, you are able to utilize your native language to put up a post and it says see translation. So for me, it would be reaching whatever the population of students is at that school, reaching their parents in whatever language that they are most comfortable speaking or communicating in. You do that by, I noticed before we came on the WCEG Network, you did your presentation in English and then you turned around and did it in Spanish. So there's no limit to communicating with everyone, especially when it comes to language barriers. There is a way to communicate.
And that is a good news and very encouraging for all the parents. I've been talking with some, a group of parents that I know. And what about a situation where a parent don't read and don't understand English? They don't have access to technology. They don't know how to manage, but they have children in the schools. How you gonna approach in that situation? Because believe or not, but not only in my community, but sadly in many communities, this happen. So how gonna be the approach for that?
And you are absolutely correct. During my tenure as an educator, I worked at a North Fulton County school, and it was called Lake Forest Elementary School, where 80% of the students that attended Lake Forest were from the Mexican Latino community. So I had to find ways to communicate with their parents. And normally I could call in a translator, Or what I would do, and I would like to give a shout out to one of my students that has just graduated from Georgia State University. Her name is Leslie Organista. She was one of my 5th grade students during that time, and she just graduated with a degree in business and human resources from Georgia State University. So I am so proud of Leslie because she was in my 5th grade class. But oftentimes it required me to think outside the box. So Leslie, at the time, if the translator wasn't available because it was a big Spanish-speaking population, Leslie would translate for me in my parent-student conferences. So I believe for me, ensuring that there's a readily available translator, ensuring that there is a readily, and not only to translate when talking face-to-face, but also written translation. The other thing that I would like to target is in District 6, we have parents that care. Black parents, white parents, Hispanic parents, and Asian parents that are just not equipped. And like you said, maybe for whatever reason, they may have an 8th grade education, they may have a 10th grade education, but something that I am willing to implement with other stakeholders in the community is probably a GED program for our parents. So that if they wish to or collaborate with someone who is already instituting a GED program and offering it there at our parents, and not only GED, but ESOL programs for parents whose native language is not English. How do we reach them? How do we show that we care, we are concerned about not only you, but also your children in our community, the people that we are insured to look after. So instituting GED programs, instituting ESOL programs for adult learners, computer technology programs for adult learners, but meeting people where they are, whether they speak English, Spanish, Arabic, or another language, but just putting the resources out there. We can do it. We can do it if we work together.
Yes, that's true. And it's very important. And I also want to remark what you're saying, implementing GED. But in the past, I was talking with another teacher. In the past, we're talking about maybe 2000 in the back days. there was a lot programs, a lot open ESOL programs for parents on the afternoons. And we saw that a lot in the church, in the schools. Today, we rarely see that kind of programs. I know it's difficult because right now, the resources and the availability for people to volunteer is very hard right now, especially for COVID. The restrictions are so hard. But in the present, you and your college has any plans to start doing that more often to offer to the parents?
Absolutely. I have several initiatives that strictly involve parental engagement. And through my work with Park Lane Elementary School and their parental engagement specialists and their student governance council, I know many of the needs of District 6 are of Park Lane. Park Lane are the language barriers. So wherever those deficiencies are, if I can collaborate or partner with an ESOL teacher that would be interested in coming in, offering ESOL, or partnering with a GED specialist for parents that want to obtain their GED, I am all for it. Some of my initiatives starting out will be more parent-centered and parent and community focused. I believe that everyone in a community has something to offer, whether you are a retired teacher, whether you are a retired farmer, whether you are a retired bus driver, everyone in our community has something to offer to the schools in our community, because our schools are producing residents and citizens that will eventually go out into the world. One of the reasons why I became a teacher was because my grandmother was she loved teachers. She wasn't a teacher herself. My grandmother was a maid and my grandfather worked on a golf course. But one thing that they instilled in all of us was to get your education. And I know I am a walking testimony that if you put your mind to it, you can do it. I didn't always have the best grades in school, but I do know this, that education gave me the opportunity to be better than my grandparents, to be better than other people in the community. And teaching has afforded me the opportunity to get in front of thousands of children and their parents and let them know that if you stick with educating yourself, educating your community, your life chances will increase for the better. So I am all for partnering with organizations and stakeholders in our community I have dedicated my life to partnering with organizations that are going to be beneficial to our students, to their parents, and to our entire community as a whole. Many hands make light work. So yes, that is definitely one of my initiatives, to look at the populations of schools and to see where the greater need is. In one school, the greater need may be food insecurity. So why wouldn't I partner with the food bank? Hey, can you drop off some food packages? I've seen it done throughout my career where schools have partnered with Arthur Blank Foundation. They've partnered with the Atlanta Community Food Bank. They've partnered with other organizations that have done things for the students and their parents inside those schools.
And that is a great, good to know and great initiative you are planning to implement, because it's very important. Like you say, right now our community is very diverse and we have to focus, on every student. And that is very motivating. That very motivating to see for our candidates and also, our leaders on the community. And I have just one last question for you, because I have to translate all of this in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So the last question for you, Ms. Rogers, is we already hear you are giving opportunities to students to go into the future for education, into colleges, and also, short careers and everything. But if you are elected, what new opportunities you're gonna give to the students, the parents, and the community as a whole?
Oh, wow. That is a loaded question. I am going to give them every opportunity possible, Mrs. Hernandez. As I have been out on this campaign trail and knocking on doors and phone banking and asking people to vote for me, many of their concerns are, one of the main concerns was, I don't have children in school. Why should I be concerned with the school board election? You should be concerned because our quality of schools help produce a good quality of citizen. Quality of schools help bring businesses into our community. They help with economic growth and development. Quality schools help communities survive. So I am open to all opportunities that will help our scholars survive, that will help them soar, that will help them have college opportunities, entrepreneurship opportunities, any opportunity that I can afford a scholar in any school, I am willing to reach back and do that. So that is why I have those 5 cornerstones of my campaign, that I am feverishly and have feverishly been working to implement that provides our parental involvement, safe and sound schools, high-end student achievement, community partnerships with people that are in our community. So every opportunity that I can use, I will utilize my platform as an elected board member to reach every business in the community, every parent in the community, every student in the community that can help in this movement. It has been a campaign journey, but the more and more I think about as I sit at the end of my day, this is a movement. This is a movement to turn things around in District 6, to have high quality education, high quality students, high quality businesses, high quality homes. This is going to be a movement for not only me, but the community as a whole. So I will use my platform to letter write, to social media campaign, to call and galvanize the entire community to help inside each elementary school, every middle school, and every high school. I believe the phrase is all hands on deck. I am going to be reaching out to you once I win that school board seat so that you can put me in touch with people within your network so that I could hear their concerns. And if you don't mind me asking, I do know that you're a resident of East Point. If you'd like to invite me to a porch party or somewhere where I can listen to the concerns
let me
in your community.
Miss LaToya, let me translate. We have just 5 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you so much for that. Hoy estamos en la transmisión de WCEG con Miss LaToya Martin Rogers. Ella está en candidatura para el 6º distrito de la Junta Directiva de Fulton County Schools. Ella se enfoca en trabajar directamente con los papás. Ella cree realmente que el poder para los estudiantes es trabajar con los papás, pero también trabajar con personas, líderes de la comunidad del gobierno, haciendo mentoría para los estudiantes. Ella también, las estrategias que ella está usando es trabajar para traer recursos a las escuelas, a los estudiantes en diferentes aspectos para seguir su educación, pero también educar a los papás, dejarles saber el poder de la educación que tienen y seguir adelante. Ella ha abierto puertas para los padres para venir e implementar ideas también. Ella tiene planes de seguir adelante, abrir iniciativas para los padres, agarrar educación por medio del GED, también por clases de ISOEL, para tener una mejor comunicación con los padres y poder ayudar a los estudiantes. Ella también tiene la iniciativa de dar seguridad, implementar ayudas y referencias para la salud mental entre los padres, los estudiantes, todos los maestros, ahora que estamos viviendo en esta época de COVID. Y pues quiero dejarles saber a la comunidad hispana, tenemos que checar nuestros candidatos y ver nuestras posibilidades. Y la siguiente votación para los candidatos locales, ustedes pueden hacer su investigación, pero si no me equivoco es mayo 24 la elección. Y pues aquí tenemos esta plataforma donde damos información y educamos a la comunidad. Miss Rogers, when is the election date?
Early voting starts on May 2nd, but the voting day is May 24th. Is it possible I can share my website and how to follow the?
You can do, and you also gonna be able to do it as soon as we share our program for our audience on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. Entonces, sí, la votación temprana es mayo 2. la votación oficial es mayo 24 y pues ahora, comunidad hispana, tenemos que revisar nuestras opciones, pero en esta plataforma tuvimos oportunidad de oír por Miss Rogers sus planes, sus estrategias, y es una buena oportunidad para todos nosotros en nuestros distritos, ver quiénes van a ser nuestros líderes. Thank you so much, Ms. LaToya. This was a very great opportunity to know about the strategies and also to meet you. And now, you know, our audience and all the boarding persons around can see, you know, through this platform, WCEG Network, and also your platforms, you know, your strategies for the future, because it's the future for our students. Es el futuro de nuestros estudiantes y también de nosotros como papás, para ver quién está liderando a nuestros hijos. Les agradezco mucho hoy que estuvieran con nosotros este sábado. Espero nos acompañen el siguiente sábado en mayo. Thank you so much, Ms. Rogers. Thank you so much for our audience. And please don't forget to watch us again on YouTube, WCEG Network, and give us a like on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Ms. LaToya, do you want to say something else to our audience?
Yes, I would like to let the audience members know how to connect with me. And that is www.rogersforschoolboard.com. I'm also on Facebook as Elect LaToya D6, Instagram at Rogers for School Board, TikTok, I had to get into TikTok at Rogers for School Board, and Twitter at DRLM Rogers. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. And again, thank you for having me on the WCEG Network. A vote for LaToya Martin Rogers is a vote for students first. And always remember, hashtag District 6 Schools Matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. LaToya. Thank you so much to the WCEG Network, and see you next month.